I'll say a lot of people don't think about HR until it's too late. I will say that as a standard practice, yeah, you want to think about HR day one, right? And HR is really just anything dealing with people in the business, right? So that HR could even be, hey, I'm just a solopreneur, it's just myself. And HR could just be like, hey, how you compensate yourself in payroll, right? The other thing you could have too is, hey, once you hire somebody else, like maybe an assistant, then you do need to, that employee does have rights. So like you need to be mindful of what those rights are. Generally, like payroll is super important to know how, somebody should be compensated first. The next, because like the other thing is too, you might just hire one person and then they decide like, hey, like it doesn't work out. You decide to let them go. Then they go take unemployment. And if you didn't have them on a W-2 and didn't have them on payroll, well, where's the unemployment going to come from? Now, all of a sudden you got the EDD, sending you a message saying, hey, was this person working for you? And you say like, oh no, I don't have any employees. I don't report any payroll. Now, all of a sudden you got an HR issue with the EDD, and then it's going to be the IRS, and you're going to have to pay payroll taxes, go through an audit, all that type of stuff, right? So HR really does start day one. It can. But that's like worst case scenario. Most people, I think around 10 employees is when they really start to get more serious about it. Or once they get past the product development phase, meaning like, hey, our product's done, we're ready to go to market. Sometimes that software company that they're working with might be outsourced. So then they start to phase them out. Maybe they bring them on, maybe they leave them off. Kind of depends on the strategy there. That's generally where I see people start to think about HR, and it's usually the CFO that comes in first, the finance person or a budget, somebody who's doing the budget. And then they start to think through like, okay, well, what are we going to budget for people? Now we need an HR person to help us out, because if we recruit 5 people and each person's 200 grand, it's $1 million. We pay 20%. That's 200K in fees just to get $1 million worth of payroll or people for these 5. Might as well pay somebody $100,000 to do recruiting and have them do it in-house, and we save 50% there, right? Like that's usually what I feel like where HR starts to come into play. Ideally, again, you would do it day one and have like a game plan. But I think once you start recruiting people, that's when most light bulbs go off for clients.